So today, we're going to try and make sense of India's huge development strategy. But we're not going to do it by reading some dry, boring policy documents. Nope. We're diving straight into the real-world government schemes that are actually reshaping the country from the ground up and affecting millions and millions of lives. Let's get into it.
Okay, so right off the bat, what do these things have in common? I mean, it sounds like a totally random list, doesn't it? You've got high-tech drones buzzing over villages, then you have educational stuff, and then massive port upgrades. But as you're about to see, these are anything but random.
You see, every single one of those projects is a carefully placed piece in a much, much larger puzzle. It's all part of a cohesive national blueprint. And in this explainer, we're going to put that puzzle together piece by piece. And we're going to start with the most important piece of any nation, its people. So our first big pillar is all about empowering individuals. These are the schemes designed to build a really strong social foundation. We're talking better health, we're talking accessible education, and crucially, clear property ownership. First up, the SVMIT-VA scheme. Now, think about this. For generations, if you lived in rural India, proving you owned your land was a massive, sometimes impossible challenge. Well, this scheme is changing all of that. It uses drones and a super accurate ground network to map village lands, creating, for the first time, a clear, verifiable record of who owns what.
And this one simple document, it changes everything. Suddenly, with a clear title, this property card, an owner can walk into a bank and use their land as collateral for a loan. I mean, that unlocks incredible economic potential. Plus, it cuts down on endless legal fights and helps village councils actually plan for the future. It creates this virtuous cycle of development.
And get this isn't just some small pilot program. We're talking over 5 million of these property cards already handed out. That just shows you the incredible scale we're dealing with. Millions of people getting a real shot at financial stability.
Okay, so from financial health, let's talk about physical health. Ayushman Bharat, also known as PMJAY, is honestly one of the world's most ambitious public health programs. The whole point is to give families a powerful financial shield, to make sure that one medical emergency doesn't push them into a lifetime of debt.
And the sheer scale, it's just staggering. The scheme aims to cover around 550 million people. Let that sink in for a second. That's more than the entire population of the United States and Canada combined. Now, let's see how this same people-first approach is playing out in education. You know, in education, policy is always evolving. Back in 2009, there was this no detention policy. And the idea was great, keep kids in school by not failing them. But over time, the feedback from the ground was that it just wasn't working. It was actually leading to poor learning outcomes later on. So in 2019, the policy was changed. It's a perfect example of adapting based on real-world results. All right, let's switch gears and move to our second pillar, modernizing the economy. This is all about supercharging the core engines of growth. We're talking everything from the farm to the factory to the port. A really key part of this is giving the agricultural sector a safety net. And the PM Kisan scheme does exactly that. It transfers cash directly into the bank accounts of small and marginal farmers. It gives them a predictable income boost to help them manage their costs and maybe even invest back into their land. But here's the thing, supporting farmers directly is just the first step. The bigger vision, the real goal, is to build a completely seamless, efficient supply chain that connects those farms to markets all across the country.
And this is where you can really start to see the dots connect. You have eNAM, which creates a single online marketplace so farmers can get better prices. Then there's One Nation, One Port, which standardizes how all the ports work to make trade faster and smoother. And finally, the SMLILE program strengthens the entire logistics network, roads, rail, waterways, tying it all together into one fluid system.
You know, this quote just perfectly captures the whole strategy. The goal isn't just to grow more food, it's to build a modern system that gets that food to where it needs to go with as little friction as possible.
Modernization also means making things like international travel easier, especially for business. The fast-track immigration program is designed to do just that. It's a really simple, streamlined process. Pre-approved travelers can just zip through airports using e-gates. It's all about boosting efficiency for both business and tourism. And of course, you can't have a modern economy without a skilled workforce, right? That's where the Skill India program comes in. It's not just one thing, it's a multi-pronged effort. It's got short-term skill training, it promotes hands-on apprenticeships, and it provides vital vocational training to build the workforce for tomorrow's jobs.
And that brings us to our third and final pillar, securing the future. This is all about the long game. It's about building self-reliance in the most critical areas. We're talking energy, natural resources, and of course, food security.
A huge focus here is on something called critical minerals. So what are they? Well, think of them as the essential vitamins for our modern technology. They're the building blocks for everything from your smartphone to an electric car battery. The problem? Their supply is controlled by just a handful of countries.
And here's the really crucial part. For some of the most vital minerals, like lithium and cobalt, India is currently 100% dependent on imports. That creates a massive strategic vulnerability. And that's exactly what the National Critical Mineral Mission is trying to solve, by boosting domestic exploration and processing.
This chart really paints a clear picture of the challenge. You can see just how concentrated the global supply of these minerals is. And that's precisely why it's so essential for India to develop its own reserves for its long-term economic and national security. Now, on the energy front, the PM Surya Ghar scheme is a gigantic push towards sustainability. The goal is to put solar panels on the roofs of 10 million homes. And this is brilliant because it not only boosts renewable energy, but it also gives families up to 300 units of free electricity every single month.
And finally, water security. This is being tackled on two fronts at once. The Jal Jeevan mission is all about getting piped drinking water to every single rural home. At the same time, Mission Amrit Sarovar is focused on reviving traditional water bodies, and it's already blown past its original target, creating over 68,000 of these reservoirs.
So from property rights to solar power, we've seen this massive, interconnected strategy taking shape. It's about empowering people, modernizing the economy, and securing the future. The plans are incredibly ambitious. The vision is clear. But all of this, it all leads to one ultimate challenge. With so many moving parts, with hundreds of plans and billions invested, what's the one thing that will ultimately decide if this grand vision actually becomes a reality? Is it the technology? Is it the money? Or is it something a little more human? You know, the actual implementation on the ground and the active participation of over 1 billion people. At the end of the day, that's the real question, isn't it? Thanks for watching.